You know, I feel like you... I hope that this video was... Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, my name is Griselda and welcome to my YouTube family. So in today's video, I am going to be talking to you guys about my top favorite foundations. I do get a lot of questions in regards to what foundation I use, and to be honest with you guys, I don't just use one specific foundation. I use multiple foundations, so I thought I'd do this video for you guys and make it easier. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. And I'm also going to be talking to you guys about what foundations I use for special events, or if I'm just running errands, because I don't use the same foundation for every single day. So I think that's also really important, and sharing with you guys what type of skin type I have. So if you want to see what my top favorite foundations are, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to turn on your notifications so you get notified every single time I upload. And without further ado, let's get started with this video. Okay, so before I start, I do want to share with you guys what my skin type is, because I think that that's really important for you guys to know, and know what foundation works best for your skin type. So I'm a combination, so I have a normal to oily skin. So I typically get oily just around my T-zone. Most of it is around my nose area and my forehead. Everything else is pretty normal. So I think that's really important, making sure that you prime and use moisturizers that are specifically for your skin type. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the lighter coverage to the fuller coverage. So this first foundation that I'm going to be talking to you guys about is the Hello Flawless by Benefit. This one retails for $36 and it comes in 9 shades. The shade range is very, very limited. I know it only comes in 9 shades. But this foundation definitely is for all skin types. It is a sheer to medium coverage. So this foundation I typically like to use when I'm just gonna go run errands and I want something very, very light, not full coverage. I definitely do set this, even though it is oil free, and that's another thing that I look for in a foundation is because I do produce a lot of oil, I always like to make sure that it is oil free, because that means that it's going to kind of keep me matte throughout the day. This definitely gives you a skin-like finish, and I personally love this just by itself. Sometimes when I do feel like I am producing a lot of oil, I do set it very lightly with the translucent powder, but it doesn't leave me super shiny. It just gives me like a really nice healthy finish to the skin. Another thing that I love about this foundation, and the reason why I like to use it when I'm running errands, is because it does have SPF of 25. And I love to protect my skin, especially because, you know, you tend to get sunspots. Definitely want to prevent that. So this is a great foundation for like every day if you're gonna go run errands. And the only thing that I will tell you guys about this foundation is that it does give you flashback if you use a camera with flash, obviously. I definitely made the mistake once of wearing this foundation and going to an evening event, and I took a photo and I looked like a complete ghost because it gave me flashback because it has SPF. So this is one of the things that I probably should tell you guys, and you guys should know. Don't take any photos with flash with this foundation because it will give you flashback. So this next foundation is the Ultra HD by Makeup Forever. This one comes in 40 shades and it retails for $43, and I use the shade 127. I feel like this one and the Hello Flawless is kind of like a similar finish. This one definitely is a medium to full coverage, and I love the fact that you can also sheer it down to a very sheer finish. This foundation I used to use so much when I used to do makeup. I used to use this on brides. It definitely made your skin look very airbrushed. I always like to set this foundation because, again, I am more oily than dry, so I don't like to have to touch up throughout the day, and I feel like if I don't set this foundation, I will have to do that. This foundation is definitely great for your kit for everyday wear. Like I said, it is buildable, and I love the finish that it gives to the skin. So this next foundation is the All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation by NARS. I use the shade Syracuse, I think that's how you pronounce it. This one retails for $49 and it comes in 20 shades. This is a medium to full coverage. It says full coverage on the website, but I find that it can be a medium coverage. When I first got this foundation, they told me that it was a full coverage foundation, but I find that I am able to sheer it down, especially if I apply it with my fingers. You do get a little bit more coverage if you apply it with a beauty blender, but I feel like using your fingers, you're able to kind of like warm the foundation into your skin. It does give you a better finish by applying it with your fingers, because I feel like that's just the way that this foundation works really well. I do finish, if I do have like some streakiness, I do kind of press it in with my beauty blender. It is a luminous matte finish, meaning it doesn't fully dry down to a matte finish. It kind of gives you like a nice radiant glow. And the best part about this, that it's sweat and humidity proof. When I went to my Barbados trip, I took this foundation because it's super humid in Barbados, and it wore so beautifully. And on top of that, it just gave me like really nice radiant glow. If you are looking for that really nice luminous finish to the skin, this is your foundation. So this foundation kind of holds a special place in my heart because I've used it for over a decade. This foundation was my very first foundation that I ever purchased. And on top of that, I feel like I have history with it because I used to work for the brand. So my next foundation is the Studio Fix Fluid Foundation by MAC. This was literally my go-to foundation. This is another foundation that I also used in my kit. I am in the shade NC40. This one retails for $29 and it comes in 42 shades. This foundation just gives you that full coverage, full glam. It definitely reduces the appearance of pores because it just kind of glides on your skin like butter. It is a 24-hour wear. It helps with controlling oil and shine throughout the day. I do set this foundation, but I do feel like throughout the day I don't have to touch up as often with this foundation. It just gives me like a really like poreless finish. This foundation doesn't come with a pump, but you can purchase with the foundation. I find that you do need a pump with it just because you feel like you do waste a lot of product because you kind of have to dump it out and you have no control over that. So I feel like you do need to get the pump with this. I feel like MAC should just kind of like revamp this and just make it with the pump instead of selling it separately. I find that the way that this foundation works best for me is making sure that I hydrate my skin really well, and I love to pair this with the Fix Plus. I drench my whole skin with Fix Plus, and I know that Fix Plus, if you guys don't know what Fix Plus looks like, this is what it is. It's a hydration mist. This is supposed to just kind of be a humectant for the skin, and it just works really, really well. I feel like it just compacts the foundation really well into your skin, and it just gives you like that really nice, beautiful airbrush finish. I just love Studio Fix. I use it all the time. Like I said, I just have like a special relationship with this foundation. So this next foundation is the Pro Filter Soft Matte Long Wearing Foundation by Fenty. This one retails for $34 and it comes in 40 shades. I actually did a review on this foundation when it came out. This is a very rich in pigment foundation. I find that this foundation, you kind of have to test it out and let it dry before you pick your shade because it does oxidize. I can be the shade 280 at times when I'm a little lighter, but for the most part I'm the shade 300 in this foundation. In this foundation, I love the fact that it's super easy to build, so it is a medium to full coverage. This foundation is also oil free and it's sweat and humidity resistant, which I love because you guys know I struggle and I sweat from like my upper lip and my nose. Like, you guys don't see it, but I sometimes have to stop filming and like pat my upper lip to like remove the sweat, especially because of these hot lights. You guys know your girl be sweating sometimes. This definitely blends out super seamlessly. It's not streaky at all. You can definitely apply it with a brush or a beauty blender or your fingers. I do recommend to apply it with a beauty blender and just work it through your skin. It definitely gives you a seamless finish. It does say to shake well, just to kind of like reactivate the foundation. I feel like that's with most foundations, to be honest, because if it is sitting there, all the ingredients kind of fall to the bottom and you kind of have to like shake it up a little bit just to kind of like reactivate the foundation. The only thing that I find every time I use this foundation, it happens. I don't know if this has happened to you guys before, but it always breaks me out in this area. Like, I don't know what it is. I've tried using a different primer. I've tried using just the foundation. I don't know what it is. It doesn't break me out anywhere else. And it's not like a huge breakout. It just dries down this part of my face, but I keep using it because honestly, I love the finish. I love the coverage. I love how it leaves my skin. This is one of my favorite foundations, even though it does break me out a little bit. This next foundation is the Essential High Coverage Cream Foundation by Jouer. I fell in love with this foundation the moment it came out. I use the shade Nutmeg. This foundation is $38 and it comes in 17 shades. When I talk about full coverage foundation, this foundation is full coverage. You definitely only need maybe like a pump for your whole entire face. This foundation is a oil-free foundation and it's a super matte finish, definitely high coverage, and it dries down pretty quick. So this foundation, I feel like you kind of have to work with it really fast because it does dry down, and it gives your skin a super nice like blur effect. I feel like this foundation is one of those foundations that you would want to use when you're doing like a photo shoot because it gives you like a really nice, you know, flawless finish to the skin, high coverage. The only thing that I would say about this foundation is that it does oxidize throughout the day. I find that I do have to use a little bit of a lighter shade kind of in between when I apply this foundation because it just oxidizes into like more of like an orangey shade for me. That's the only thing that I would say about this foundation, that it does oxidize, and I hate to say it, but I dislike foundations that oxidize. But the coverage and the finish and just how it wears on the skin is like super nice. I don't feel like it's like, I don't feel like I have a lot of foundation on, especially it being a full coverage foundation. That's one of the things that I hate the most, is when foundations are full coverage and you just feel like you have a lot of foundation on. So this next foundation is the All Nighter Waterproof Foundation by Urban Decay. This foundation, when you talk about full coverage, you thought Jouer was full coverage. This foundation right here, you guys, like I can cover like tattoos with this foundation. I mean, I feel like you can cover tattoos with the Jouer foundation too, but this foundation is full coverage to the max. And this foundation retails for $40 and it comes in 20 shades. I use the shade 8.0 and sometimes 7.5. The 8.0 is a little bit more on like the red undertone. I would highly recommend for you to try the foundations and kind of let it dry too, because this foundation also oxidizes. This foundation is waterproof. I've actually worn this foundation in the pool and it has stayed intact. It definitely gives you that high coverage, and this is also an oil-free foundation. Honestly, I don't even know what else to say because it's full coverage, it's oil-free, it's waterproof. I love using this foundation when I'm gonna go to events because I know that it's gonna last all night, and I love the fact that it's super comfortable on the skin. I don't feel the foundation on my skin at all, and I think that's kind of it. This foundation is definitely really good if you are looking for a full coverage, matte, oil-free, long-wearing, waterproof foundation. This foundation is definitely for you. It definitely doesn't have any flashbacks. This foundation definitely photographs really well. This is a great foundation. And last but not least, we have the Double Wear Foundation by Este Lauder. This is another great foundation. I feel like this is a staple. This foundation, you cannot go wrong with it. This foundation retails for $42 and it comes in 47 shades. At first I had a little trouble kind of figuring out my shade, but I am the shade 3 and 2 Wheat. It has like a really nice like olivey undertone, definitely super high coverage. It does dry down super fast, so you kind of have to work really quick with this foundation. It is oil free, and I love the fact that it doesn't clog your pores. This is another foundation that's kind of like the all-nighter. I feel like this foundation you can also use without a primer. It definitely kind of fills in your pores but not clog them at the same time. And a great thing about this, that it's fragrance free. A lot of people that do have sensitive skin can't wear foundations that have fragrance, so this is a great foundation for that. And it's a 24-hour foundation. The only thing about this foundation, and I feel like it would be perfect if this foundation just didn't have that, but I also find that this foundation has a major flashback. You cannot take photos in this foundation. You can take photos as far as like a daytime if you're like out in the sun, natural light, but if you hit this foundation with flash, it will do you so wrong. And I feel like it shouldn't have that problem because I feel like it's a perfect foundation. I love how it just sits on my skin. It definitely gives me that coverage, and it's a great foundation. And if it didn't have that, I think it would be a perfect foundation. But aside from that, you know, it's perfect because it's oil free, it's super mattifying, it's full coverage, and it's great for all skin types. So there you have it, guys. Those were my top favorite foundations. I hope this video was helpful for you guys and you guys are able to kind of like determine what skin type you are and what foundation works best for you. Hopefully this video was super helpful in kind of helping you guys decide that. It's just one of those things that you kind of have to like just play with them and see what works best for you. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. If you guys want to share what your skin type is, I can also give you guys recommendations based on that, and maybe you guys can help each other and commenting back and forth and see what has worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in my next video.